Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Cat's back. What do you guys think? A drunk maybe can't wake up?
Yeah, some guy who doesn't want to get ready. Folks, please be quiet. Close your doors. Go back inside.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast, that is. My name is John.
And I'm Lloyd.
And I am Stu.
This year we've done a lot of anniversary episodes, 5, 10, 15, 20, blah, all that kind of thing. This is the last one of the year.
Another one.
This is the last one, and so we're going 20 years back from 2022. We're going to 2002, and the reason we're doing this is because our buddy Stu here has been on a mission this year, which he recently defeated.
Yes,
his mission was to watch 300 movies.
You accomplished your mission?
Yeah, I did. I accomplished it like the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Now, I want to point something out, and I'm not calling Stu out because he has done something tremendous, and he would have broken it anyway. But I have a problem with what you watched for your 300th.
It wasn't intentionally like that was going to be my 300th movie. It's just it came out that weekend, and that's when I saw it.
That's not what I mean. What I mean is 44 minutes long.
Yeah,
does not constitute a feature film, I think.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's where I'm going to counter you on that. One of my 300 movies this year was Crystal Lake Memories, which is 7 hours long.
So you're going to take some of the time from that?
Yeah, I'm saying that because one of my movies was 7 hours, I get a 44-minute featurette.
I wasn't calling you out because you, as you have even said yourself, you're already past 300.
I blew past that. It's not like I hit the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and stopped. So because you're not the only person. I cross-posted my review on 411 Mania where I post a lot of my stuff, and a lot of people in the comments gave me shit for that too. And I was like, look, it's not like I stopped. That just happens to be, according to Letterboxd, the 300th one I did. If you don't think that counts, trust me, I've still passed 300.
That's crazy, Stu. 300 movies a year is
individually. Like this is the second. This is the
I'm
second
not that
time...
great at math, but that's like 700 movies a month, right?
This is the second time this year I've seen Minority Report, and that doesn't count. That only counts as one. And there's a few movies, like I watched Evil Dead, and then, John, you had me come watch Evil Dead again, and I watched Eternals way back with my wife, and then somebody recently had me do that again for my show, so those don't even count. So, like, viewings of movies, I'm like 310 something, but actual movies, I'm around 305 right now.
I wanted to bring that up though, only because my OCD, if I was you and I was going for that goal, I couldn't have watched that for the 300th because I'd be like, nope, it's not going to count, and I'm going to think about it all day long. I got to say, that's super impressive. 300 is super impressive.
People say that like it's an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I just wasted a lot of my time this year.
But the one thing I wanted to say was, and this is not, so I think about it, and I think the first year of COVID in 2020, I think I watched 270 or something, right? And that was, and I didn't have time off from work. It was just that I wasn't going out or doing anything else. So I watched a lot of movies. And even this year, I'm at like 130 right now. 300 does seem like a lot, but a few years ago, if you guys, I know you're both listeners of the Countdown podcast.
Yeah.
Paul and another gentleman from another podcast had a competition. I could be wrong. I think Paul watched 600 in a year.
Well, it was the competition, because I remember listening to both their shows. This was the Movie Journey podcast that he was up against.
Okay.
I listened to both their shows at the time. Their competition was to see who could hit 500 first. and Paul hit 500 by like July.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Damn. I think I've hit. I'm around 20 on the year. I think.
What baffles me is like I don't have kids or anything, so I work from home some days of the week, so I can have stuff on in the background while I'm working, and it's great. But like Paul has kids. Like I don't know how you have time to watch 500 movies in half a year. Seriously,
I when I heard him say the final amount that he had, and I don't remember, but I know it was like over 500. I was like, is time different in Australia? Is a year 3 years in Australia? Is it one of those goofy things that we don't understand about another country? Is like, oh no, a year here is like it's like 10,000 days.
So maybe he counts his morning in our evening. So all compiled up, it's like 36 hours or something.
Just piles the fuck up.
You mentioned COVID though. Like COVID has been the impetus for me to just watch a ton of movies. And last year I cracked like 220, 230. Because initially this year my goal was 250. And then by the end of February, I was like, oh, I'm going to destroy 250. Let's see if I can get 300. But I think like since COVID started to now, I've probably watched more movies than I did in maybe the entirety of the 2010s, because like it's just been my thing. Like I'm going to fill in blind spots. I'm going to rewatch all the movies that I love. I'm going to watch random crap. Like, I mean, that's where this movie came from, was like back in January. I was just like, oh, I've never seen Minority Report. Why not?
Yeah. Let me answer. Have you seen Minority Report previously?
I have seen it previously. Yep.
I saw it myself, and I have one funny story about Minority Report. I don't know why I remember this. I remember seeing this in the theaters by myself, as I used to go a lot by myself during the week because of my job. And I'll never
my wife would be scared of you.
I also took my pants off in the middle of the movie too, so it definitely was a scary sight. But I'll never forget, because this movie is probably about 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Oh no.
I was pretty invested in the film. And we get to the end, which we're going to talk about, where kind of like the mystery and everything is coming together. And I had to pee at that point for about a half an hour already. And I just sat, and I remember realizing that the film was getting towards its ending. And I got up and walked to the back of the theater and watched the last 10 minutes of the movie, leaning against the back.
So you could book it out of there.
So as soon as the credits rolled, I could either piss my pants or get to the nearest bathroom. Man, so you're doing that thing again.
Am I getting the max headroom? Yeah.
You are, yeah.
Going on.
Yeah, I think like Samara's about to come out of your TV and get you or something.
I just hope I don't lose connection. I rebooted my computer right before this podcast.
I think how old is this thing? Is this a Texas Instruments?
No, it's an Alienware. It's probably about 3 years old.
All right.
I don't know if it's that, or maybe I just need a new webcam. I'll try that.
All right. Christmas is coming up. You could ask someone for it.
Yeah. Where did you guys watch it? Because for me, amazingly, I have YouTube TV, which is basically unlimited recordings.
Right.
So whenever I see a movie I'm interested in, I just click on it and it, just goes into my queue. So apparently some point earlier this year, I had clicked on it because when I searched for it, it showed up in my queue. So, but it was 3 hours. It was over 3 hours with commercials, which is kind of brutal for me.
I think it was on Prime. I'm pretty sure it was on Prime.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I watched it on Prime, but then actually
I didn't look hard enough.
and then actually the day after, I went out to take my dogs out in my back room where all my DVDs are, and I actually own it. I probably got it and watched it once in like say 2003. Because I definitely had not seen this movie in quite a long time. All right, let's talk about it. We already mentioned it. Minority Report, 20 years, June 21st of 2002. This came out, directed by a guy you might have heard of once or twice named Steven Spielberg. Jaws, Schindler's List. Interesting factoid. We're going to get to the stars in a minute.
Interesting factoid. John did not realize he won Best Director for Saving Private Ryan.
I did not. I did not. I made myself look like a real jerk on a show once.
My show?
On your show. That's right. On the first year anniversary, I think. So the star of this film is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg had wanted to work together since they were. I didn't realize that Spielberg was originally set to make Rain Man, and then broke off from it. I never knew that. Broke off from it. Barry Levinson made it, but they always wanted to make a movie together. So they finally get around to making this movie together. And because they wanted it to be made so badly, they took no money. 15% of the gross for both of those guys. So said no to their normal fucking fees, which would have jumped the budget of this thing up a million, multi-millions of dollars.
Well,
So
he said he did that with someone else too. It was Tom Hanks, maybe?
I think so, and
Tom Hanks.
I think it might have been on Private Ryan, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
Yep.
because they really wanted the money of that movie. Yeah, like get the money where it goes. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's got to be a point where a guy like Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise, they don't care about the money. It's like athletes nowadays. It's like the only reason they ask for the amount of money is almost like a power play. Like, I want to prove to you that I'm worth more than this guy. But in the end, they probably don't give a fuck if they get an extra $20 million when they already have.
It's all up to the agents. The agents,
right?
Yeah,
they're just paying for other people. So here's a little bit of history of this film. In 1992, it was optioned to be made into a feature film. The original plan and the original screenplay was this was going to be a sequel to Total Recall, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. They took some of the basis of the story called The Minority Report, the original story written by Philip K. Dick. The K stands for cock. Philip Cock Dick.
Cock Dick.
You probably know him. He wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which became Blade Runner. We can remember it for you for Wholesale, which became Total Recall. So this guy was a very big science fiction author in, I think, the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
So they took the story and they were going to take the Douglas Quaid character and put it on Mars and fit this story into it. It didn't work out. Carol Co., the company, went bankrupt. So in 1997, the original writers removed all of the elements that would have connected it to Total Recall. The original writers were Gary Goldman, who did a lot of animation, All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Secret of Nim, Ron Shusett, who was involved with Alien, Total Recall, and Free Jack. The first director that was attached to this movie in its new phase was Jan de Bont, who made Speed and Speed 2 and Twister. He hired a novelist named John Cohen, who wrote a couple books, no movie credits, but a book called Dentist Man, which sounds like the fucking worst superhero ever. And another one called Harry's Trees. His books might be great, but by title, they're not working at all.
Yeah.
De Bont leaves the movie. Spielberg comes in, and Spielberg takes the basis of the John Cohen screenplay and then hires Scott Frank, who wrote Logan and Marley and Me, a movie I will never fucking watch. Get Shorty, a bunch of things to rewrite the screenplay. So essentially, that was how they got these guys involved, punched the script up. A couple differences in the script to the movie I'll go over real quick. In the original script, as well as in the book, the Danny Whitwer character played by Colin Farrell was actually the villain of the film.
Yeah.
He was not, so we'll get to it, but he was the actual villain. The Lamar Burgess character, who in this is played by Max von Sydow, and who is the head of the precog division. You don't know what we're talking about if you haven't seen the movie. We'll talk about that. He was not even a character.
Lost if you haven't seen this.
He was not even a character in the original screenplay. It was a senator who was the villain, who was trying to, I guess, pass the pre-crime thing going on. So, all right. So that's all that.
There was a lot of rewrites.
Yes.
In this film.
First things first, before we get to the cast, I kind of want to just cover something real blanket wise. I want to cover the idea of the plot of this film. In 2054, in Washington, D.C., well, across the United States, the murder rate has gone above and beyond belief. In Washington, D.C., this Lamar Burgess character and some scientists have come up with something called pre-crime, using precognitives, where they can tell when a murder is going to happen using these precognitive people. And they go out essentially and retroactively, I guess, or proactively. Proactively, yeah, that's the correct word, will arrest you. This is a flawed system. Stu, how do you feel like just on that alone, not on the movie alone, but what do you think of the idea of that? If that was like a real thing where they could say to you, these precogs know for sure that you're going to do it. Now, obviously in the movie, we learned that there's a flaw, but do you think in a world where we knew for sure,
in a world,
would that be something that you would feel comfortable living in a world with?
No, but it's like the time travel thing. Like, you can tell precognition doesn't exist for the same reason time travel could never possibly exist, in that, like, free will is a thing.
Right.
So you can't predict the future because, like, I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. I change my mind 800 times before I figure out what I'm going to do.
You would be a red ball. You'd be a red ball.
I'd be a red ball all the time. But
okay.
No, I mean, I can't imagine anybody would support this. I mean, I can't imagine people in America support a lot of things people in America support, but
yeah,
I can't imagine the majority would go for this.
The thing about what you're saying is, yeah, free will, determinism, and all that kind of stuff. If you notice in this film, nobody complains. None of these people are complaining, oh, yeah, you're doing this. We don't want you to. Even when they got fucking spiders crawling through their house, crawling up their legs, scanning their eyeballs.
Yeah.
They just go on doing what they're doing because murder is zero.
There's a throwaway line somewhere about one of the characters saying something about like the ACLU. So clearly the ACLU has a problem with what they're doing, but it's just like one throwaway line in the movie.
Yeah, so by and large, they've eliminated murder and people are okay with it.
Yeah, so you're saying that we kind of have this weird, I don't know, like is it like a totalitarian government where like, we could just go in and do what we want whenever we want, but we've also given you this gift of
it comes at a price. This technology, these wonders that you see all around you, where you fucking walk into the Gap and the guy says, "Hey, John, how'd that tank top work out for you?" You know, that might be cool, but that fucking comes at a price, man. I dig that price.
I dig so much how when you walk into those places and the advertisements are aimed at you and talking to you, that you don't just hear it in your head. So everybody around is going to be like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Thompson. How's that cock ring working out for you?"
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I thought like you walk into a store and it's like a video store, although obviously by 2054 those are gone because they're gone now. But you walk into a video store, it's like, "Hey, how is underage pussy DVD for you?" Mr. Stewart. It's like, oh no, please no. I thought the same thing. All right, Manster, let's get into the cast of this film.
So we got obviously Tom Cruise. I don't have to say very much about him as Chief John Anderton, which it's a very hard word to say. Anderton.
It's Anderson with a T.
It's Anderson with a T, but it's just ridiculous. He's basically the pre-crime commanding officer.
Did anybody but me notice this is like prime Tom Cruise in his center tooth years? Like I could not stop looking at his center tooth.
Center tooth? Does he have a center tooth?
You never realized that? Like one of his incisors is in like the middle of his mouth. He has a huge singular incisor that's like where, like the middle of where his two.
Doesn't he have a gap? Does he have a gap in his teeth?
No, he just has one giant tooth in the middle of the front of his mouth.
The one thing I'll say about the movie is this was 20 years into Tom Cruise's career already.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago. So as I was watching it, I was like, wow, this at one point in 2002, when you were watching this, you were almost like, boy, this is older Tom Cruise. And now it's 20 years later and it really is older Tom Cruise, but he doesn't seem that much older than he did then.
That's right. It's crazy, that guy. Then we have Max von Sydow, I'll say, as Lamar Burgess, director of Pre-Crime. You will remember him as in Judge Dredd. He was that judge. Needful Things, he played Leland Gaunt. Bad movie, but
never saw it.
He's good. Max von Sydow is good.
Oh yeah, Strange Brew.
Strange Brew, yep.
Okay, so this guy isn't like super noteworthy because the entire time the movie was on, I was like, "Oh, it's Dollar Tree Chris Plummer again."
Oh no,
really?
Max von Sydow is like,
yeah, he's serious.
He was big in those.
You guys are naming shit like Strange Brew. Come on,
we're naming things. We're naming shit that like kind of goes along with probably who's listening to this. But he was in he was in a lot of Ingmar Bergman films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he goes way back.
This guy goes way back. But yeah, Strange Brew. It's like, wow, Max von Sydow did Strange Brew. But yeah,
Ian McKellen was up for this role. I think maybe even offered the role, turned it down.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you a bunch of other people. So after him, we've got Colin Farrell as Danny Whitwer. He's from the Department of Justice, right? He's like auditing their system, basically.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it. He was in the Batman. I won't say who he was, but he was in the Batman. Fright Night 2011. I avoided this movie for years, and then
it's so good.
Talk to people who say, "Yeah, it's good. You watch it." So I watched it. He's really good in that movie.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
He's good in just about everything.
Yeah,
and I've come to the phase of my life where I realize that I have a man crush on Colin Farrell. I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm starting to realize that he's slipping in there.
Yeah, I can't blame you.
Colin Farrell, like in this movie, is hot as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I just recently saw his Hot Ones, And he just seems like such an affable, cool guy. Like maybe he's not, but like some celebrities aren't and don't show that they are. He at the very least comes across as he is, and I hope he's as cool as he seems.
Yeah, he was also in the bad season of True Detective.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
Yeah. Also up for that role, Matt Damon and Javier Bardem.
Yeah, Javier Bardem said he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to just chase Tom Cruise around for a whole movie.
Run! Sorry out there. So speaking of runs, Samantha Morton as Agatha Lively. So she is the most talented, pretty much the only one needed, I believe, of the precogs. Yeah, the other two may be just like checks and balances, but yeah, she's the only one that matters. You don't know that. Well, you probably do, but you didn't watch it. She played Alpha in The Walking Dead.
I know she did. Yeah,
she was really, really good. She did a lot of other things. This stuff I don't really know that well.
So we talked about Colin Farrell, who was in Banshees of Inisherin this year. This Agatha from this movie is going to be in The Whale. So lots of people from this movie, and Tom Cruise may get nominated for Top Gun Maverick. A lot of people in this movie may be nominated for Oscars in like 2 months.
See, look at that.
Interesting.
The 20-year payoff. Thanks, Minority Report.
It all comes around.
I mean, I don't know how big of a deal she is in The Whale. I just know she's in it.
So also up for that role was Cate Blanchett. I think she's too famous for that. I think they got the right person for that.
Yeah, because this is, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, I'm assuming this is the role that made Samantha Morton. Like, I know she had a couple other things early on, but this was probably right around the time that she broke through.
Quickly, Michael and Matthew Dickman as the other two precogs, Arthur and Dash.
They're all named after crime authors. Agatha Christie.
Oh, yeah, Agatha Christie.
Arthur Conan. Yeah, Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah.
Lois Smith as Dr. Iris Heineman. I liked her in this. She had a small part.
Did you?
Yeah, she had a small part, but she was
Did
cool.
you like
the way
her?
she went in there, she went for it with the kiss with Tom Cruise.
I guess.
Like
I mean,
80?
yeah,
He was like 40?
she reached for the brass ring in her acting, but I don't know, her character is abject nonsense.
I liked her, and actually, that kiss wasn't planned, right? Did you read that?
I figured it wasn't. It didn't look.
She just kissed him, and his reaction was real.
Yeah.
Why not? Go for it. Why not?
That could have been Meryl Streep, by the way.
Yep. I didn't realize that she was also she was Helen Hunt's aunt or grandmother in Twister. When they go back to her house and have the big meal and everything, that was the same woman.
Yeah.
Oh, Manster's frozen.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Hold on, Manster.
You were sitting very still for a second, and I was like, "Oh shit, is it me?"
No, I'm practicing my Zen abilities. He's gonna shut down. Manster, this has been Manster, get a goddamn new fucking connection or something. I hope you hear me, you son of a bitch. It's gonna go to a 2-box screen any second now.
Yeah.
Oh, goddamn you, Manster.
Wonder if he knows yet.
I don't know. He's like he's 4 people in right now. He's like, I thought it was the guy from Chuck playing the guy who was in the pool, but it wasn't.
One of the shoppers at the Gap.
Yeah. There he goes. All right, let me send him another invite. Do you know how long this has been happening now for?
No.
This happens, I think, every episode we do at Lloyd now. And the first one it happened for was Event Horizon, which had to have been like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Because we actually kept going on that episode, me and Ray. And then
I heard. Yeah.
Because we weren't at a point like this, so we could just, now we can't really. Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring up the cast list, and I'm going to complete it so we can just move on. Oh, there he is. Okay.
I don't know what the deal is, man. I just keep dropping internet.
Maybe.
You got to bring that in for a tune-up or something. Just get rid of all that weird porn. I guess
it's just a computer.
All right, so we ended up at Lois Smith. So go from Lois Smith.
Then we have Catherine Morris as Laura Anderton, the estranged wife of John Anderton's Tom Cruise. I don't really know her very well. I don't know who that is.
She was on a TV show on CBS in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. That was like one of those CSI cop type shows. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Numbers. I don't know. I just call all those shows numbers.
You're absolutely right. It was one of those shows that 60 to 75-year-old people watch every week and it was on for fucking ever. And her thing was she's actually blonde, and she always had like a messy kind of like ponytail. That was kind of her look. I want to bring up one thing about her character before I forget. Is at the end of this movie, she uses Anderton's eyeballs to get into the jail again. At what point in this futuristic society do they not change the fucking access codes? Like, this guy has been a fugitive, so he's not even a cop anymore. And then they actually prosecute him and put him into suspended animation. Yet his eyeballs can still open the fucking building up.
I mentioned on Twitter earlier today that like half my notes for this movie are written in all caps and start with the word why. And one of them is, why would he still be approved for entry?
Yeah.
Because he's on the run and he just holds his eyeball up to the thing to get to like the most secure place on the planet. And it's like, yeah, sure. Come in.
How'd you get in here? Well, this fucking eyeball. All right. Then we have the great Neil McDonough as Fletcher. One of the pre-crime officers. You'll know him from the amazing Ravenous, Justified, 1922 on Netflix, which is not that great. Desperate Housewives, for you ladies out there, like that show.
We brought it up on the Ravenous episode, I believe. Neil McDonough is a very religious and virtuous man and is married. Oh, right. And he will not kiss in a film or TV.
Forgot about that.
I remember you guys talking about that.
He will bang.
He will bang.
He will not kiss.
He will plow an ass on camera, like with semen and other things flapping and slipping around.
Yeah,
but he will not kiss a woman on the lips.
Nope.
That's
reserved. I got to throw in another guy, Frank Grillo, as another pre-crime officer.
Oh, I didn't notice him in this.
He didn't have any lines, I don't think. Maybe one line. And he always had the helmet on. But, from Prison Break, really great show. The movie The Gray, Warrior, Boss Level, really good stuff.
Yeah. Fucking Captain America, Winter Soldier, and
Civil
Winter
War. Soldier.
Yeah.
I did end up taking your advice and watching Boss Level. That is a lot of fun.
It's a totally fun movie.
So good. Tyler Patrick Jones as Sean, the son. I don't know which version. Probably the little boy version, because there was an older one. Daniel London as Wally. This guy was kind of creepy, right?
Yeah.
The caretaker of the precogs.
I didn't like him. He's a weirdo.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was going to fucking stick his tongue down Agatha's throat.
Yeah.
He was gross.
He was definitely a little odd.
And I'll throw one more in there, because this movie has about 100 characters. Peter Stormare as Dr. Solomon P. Eddy, with he of the massive booger snot. Fucking, what was that?
Very possibly the greatest entrance to a character in any film of all time. So Peter Stormare, halfway through this movie, stars as a backwoods surgeon who is going to replace Tom Cruise's character's eyes. And Tom Cruise is in this like very seedy hotel, surgery center. And as he's kind of looking around, we get this shot all of a sudden of Peter Stormare leaning up against a door. And it's his exact entrance. And he sneezes and two giant fucking boogers come out of his nose. And then he just like wipes them away and then he does his dialogue. It is such a fucking awesome entrance to a character. And Peter Stormare is so amazing. I love that guy. I love that guy so much.
When I was doing a little bit of research, I got a feeling he might be the busiest guy in Hollywood.
He does a lot.
He does a lot of stuff.
So just for you guys who don't know his name, he was Slippery Pete in the Frogger episode of Seinfeld.
Yep.
Also in Prison Break, he played, was it John Abruzzi?
John Abruzzi, who he was obsessed with Fibonacci. That's how he said every time he said the name, it was like, when I get out of here, first thing I'm going to do is find Fibonacci.
Oh, man. Also, John Wick 2 with a fucking pencil.
Yeah. He has talk about entrances. So he has the booger entrance in this movie. His entrance in Constantine, where he starts like coming out of the sky and he's descending down the wall, almost like he's floating, and there's that black blood dropping below him. Yeah, it's also fucking incredible. I love Peter Stormare fan club. I'm starting it. Yeah.
One more I'll mention that we talked about a couple of years ago. He played Dino in 8mm.
That's right.
Porn
The snuff
porn
film
guy.
movie.
Yeah, the snuff porn guy. Too.
Dino Velvet.
Velvet, right.
Dino Velvet, yeah. Yeah. Gotta love Peter Stormare. All right. So 2054, the crime rates have skyrocketed. And for the last 6 or 7 years, Washington, D.C. has had very little crime because they have found these 3 precognitive people that we mentioned before.
Yeah, they find Agatha and 2 minions.
2 minions, essentially.
Yeah.
The idea behind this is that the cops now, essentially through a computer interface, the precogs see a crime happening and then alert the cops. The cops then are able to see what's happening in the future and then like piece it together as to where it's going to happen, what's going to happen, blah, blah. That's the detective portion of it. Then they go and they will find who's supposed to do this and arrest them proactively. Manster, can you explain a little bit about the balls, the brown ball and the red ball, and the idea behind like premeditation and whether or not it's going to be crime of passion?
There's so much going on in this fucking movie. It's so dense. And as a matter of fact, I forget where I read, but they were saying they had to dumb it down because they didn't think audiences could really keep up with it. But what's going on is
they accomplished it. This movie is dumb as fuck.
So you got these 3 precogs floating in water, and that's weird. But anyway, so they have dreams, visions, whatever. They see the future before the future happens, and it's all in little snippets. So what they see in their head appears on these video screens, and then they have some pretty nifty technology with the clear like glass rounded screen, and Tom Cruise stands there with his glasses with the lights on the fingertips, and you've seen this before. I think he's moving his arms around. It
influenced like the entire MCU technology.
Exactly. So all that stuff comes from this movie. But so they have to piece together what's going on as these little dream visions happen. I don't know if it happens when they shout out Agatha or whatever will shout something out, right? What happens is once they determine, I think, a victim and a perpetrator.
Yeah, the victims.
Their names both come down.
Yeah.
Or the victim ball comes down first, and that's brown.
Yeah.
And then the red ball comes down, the little spiral thing, mousetrap game that used to have when you were a kid.
I don't know if that's from the book. I don't know if they came up with that for the movie, but who decided, like, you know how we're going to find out who the killer is? Bingo.
Yeah,
we're going to play bingo, and that's how we're going to find out who it is. Like,
mousetrap.
They have computer screens. You could just have a thing pop up on a computer screen.
It should be like a whole
push
Rebus
notifications on my phone. It just comes up and be like, "Oh, Leo Crow's going to die." You don't need to print it out on a bingo ball and shoot it at me.
Look, Stu, they got like the like, what do you want to call it? The gesture stuff and all that, right? Which we use on a lot of things now.
Yeah.
So
they got a lot of shit predicted, right?
Well, here's the thing. I wanted to bring this up real quick.
Did they? Where's my vertical car?
Well, that's a whole nother thing. March. This was filmed March to July of 2001 in DC, Georgetown, LA, Virginia. There was 3 years of pre-production on this because Mission Impossible 2, much like it fucked Dougray Scott, fucked this movie a little bit, pushed it back a little bit. Steven Spielberg, in that ensuing time, hired 16 futurists and future experts, people from MIT, the editor of Wired magazine, VR specialists, and he basically put them in a think tank to try to come up with what the future of 2054 could possibly look like. And again, yeah, no vertical cars. Like that car situation, I would not want to live in that world. That gave me agita. Like you're like how the one scene where he's on top of the car and it's going down the highway.
Yeah, it's going down a vertical road.
A vertical road that seemed like it was 100 stories.
Yeah.
Like how deep are you going? Like, so yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on there.
I want to know which of the futurists they hired for this movie that told them, hey, you know what's definitely going to still be a thing in 2050 something? Radio Shack. Definitely still make a Radio Shack reference in your movie.
Oh, was there a Radio Shack?
Yeah, there was a Radio Shack reference.
Well, we know the Gap survives at the very least, according to this movie.
We know a lot of things survive. This movie had branding out the ass.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it certainly did do that.
Yeah.
All right, so in the first scene, we see this all come together. We have a R.E. Gross, by the way, who is a a character actor kind of from the 80s. He plays this kind of nerdy husband who is who's just kind of trying to stick around because he got the feeling that his wife's a little bit of a hooker, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna take a skip day today, and I'm gonna stay home. And she's like, no, I got to do shit and everything. And what she means by doing shit is some fucking dude that's standing outside.
25-year-old guy.
Yeah. So he leaves the house, but they make it a point to mention he's gonna forget his glasses. This guy who's hanging out outside comes in and starts the banger, and it's not even like the guy's the aggressor. He's like, let's go to the bedroom, and she's like, well, let's just fucking do it right here. I'm like, wow, your wife's a fucking filthy hooker. So,
Jesus.
So they start to fuck, and this guy is already in the house because he forgot his glasses. He's
at this point, he's just like crawling or like sitting behind the bed.
He's on the side of the bed, like crying as he's like fucking, he's balls deep in his wife. And so we're seeing this from that point, and we're also seeing it from the point of the cops who see him kill the fuck out of them with some scissors.
Yeah.
What did you guys think? I like these. Did you guys think those fucking like hover helicopter things were badass? Are cool.
The way they come out with down the and it, what did they like spin? They came down and they spun around.
Yeah, it was like some kind of hover cycle thing, and then it would drop, and they would the cops would drop out of it like fucking like a SWAT team.
Yeah, it was very cool.
The one thing that the precogs couldn't see in all this, they saw the 20-minute away scissor murder, was they didn't see any of the numbers on the houses, and everything was backwards. But essentially in the end of this, they stopped the crime.
But I don't know this movie, especially the opening scene. I have the notes here like, this is a very intense, interesting opening scene that is immediately undone by like, first, the stupid bingo ball system, which immediately took me out of everything. And then two, you know who the killer is. You know the victim. You know they're married because they have the same last name, and you know what you're seeing on the screens. And you know who the third guy is. And they're reduced to trying to figure out where they live by like, oh, I think that kid's on a merry-go-round. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, movie. Look up that guy's address. They did that. They were like, oh, there's 8 of these guys. We don't know where they are. Look up the victim's address, you fucking numbnuts, and cross-reference. Instead, we got Tom Cruise. Is his door open? I hated that. It's so stupid. You can't give me this technology and then at other points be like, they're too fucking stupid to have like yellowpages.com or something.
I get so excited when we do episodes. Yeah. I love talking to
we call them suicides.
Well, and here's the thing. I get so excited. And I realized that at the beginning of this episode, I started to lean into why we did this movie. Because, right, we did Predator. That kind of makes sense for the anniversary. But I'm thinking maybe someone might be like, Minority Report, that's kind of a dig. Here's the reason why. And I didn't get to say this at the beginning because we started rolling right away. When Stu watched this earlier in the year, he messaged me and it was just like, have you ever seen Minority Report? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. It was a long time ago, though. And he's like, this is the stupidest fucking movie on earth, and I want to talk about it.
I watched this movie and like I remembered it came out and then I forgot anything about it. So I had no idea if it was a hit, if it was considered good or whatever. I watched this movie earlier this year and genuinely at the end of it, I was like, this movie's so bad. It's hilarious. You have to watch it. And then I saw it's like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm like, what the hell?
Well, here's the other thing that I'm stunned at. So you tell me this earlier in the year, and I'm like, yes, we'll do it. We'll do it on my show, and we'll do it. And we just never got around to it. And 2022 is running out. Stu, we got to do this. Let's do it. But then, like today, I was just curious. I'm like, I'm going to look at Stu's. You gave it a 3. How is that?
Because it's hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Because like I'm not gonna like the movie's terrible, but I enjoyed watching it. I watched a movie a few weeks ago that I gave 4 stars called Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. It's not a 4-star movie, but I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Okay, all right, and I know to expect different things from Stu's ratings, but when I saw you gave it 3, I'm like, I could have sworn he really hated this fucking movie. So we see it in action, and the end result, man.
So Stu, the only reason with the ball is obviously is so that Tom Cruise could palm it and they don't see his name.
Oh yeah,
because if it's digital on a screen or a notification, everyone's going to see it.
Right. If everyone gets
to
the
come up with some way for him to hide it. Yeah. Right.
So we see the end result of them arresting this guy, proactively, and we see them pop out this Halo device. Essentially, we don't really see what happens right then and there, but Manster what happens when you get arrested for this? What do they do to you?
You get the halo, and I don't know. You go into some sort of stasis, and then you go down the road to the facility, and you get shoved in some sort of like those things that you see at the bank that suck up. You put your money in it, and it goes to the teller from the drive-through.
They're sending you to the teller.
Yeah, you go to the teller.
You're going to come back with a lollipop for the kids.
And believe me, you don't want to be with that teller because he's creepy too.
So let me ask you guys a question. Let's assume that you're put into stasis, and I think at one point, Tim Blake Nelson, who is the warden of that place, who's a really goofy character, but who
makes the Wally character seem completely normal and rational.
Yeah. He makes a comment at one point that they essentially are living in their own kind of world. They're probably
happy.
It's like a VR kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask each one of you guys. I'll start with
benevolent.
I'll start with you, Manster. If you were in a world where suddenly you found yourself and you were going to go to prison for something, would you? Now I'm not going to use a hardcore prison because nobody wants that. Would you rather go to, say, a minimum security prison for 5 years where you're living your actual life, you're eating meals, you're playing, dominoes, motherfucker, you're lifting weights, you're living, as best your life inside, or would you rather be put into a VR dream scenario for, say, 5 years or whatever it may be?
Oh, but you're still getting out either way.
You're getting out either way. Let's just say you're getting out.
So you're either getting out with completely atrophied muscles or not completely atrophied muscles.
Yeah, but it could be kind of fun in there. Can you pick what you want? Give me the Pornhub VR.
the benefit might be that much like sleep, maybe it passes by faster. So what would you prefer?
Yeah, no, I'd probably just do the thing where I could lift weights and see the sun and all that kind of stuff.
All right, real jail. All right, Stu, what would you pick?
I would pick this system because I wouldn't last 8 seconds in jail. I would take my shoelaces out and put an end to it. But I mean, this is also terrible and completely unconstitutional.
Yeah. Oh no. This is not cool. This is not a cool system.
Yeah, that's one of my notes. It's they're torturing these prisoners, right? Because for some reason, I might have misinterpreted something. I thought the thing that whenever they put you in, I thought you had to watch what you did over and over. I thought they put in the precogs vision thing and just made you watch that over and over.
No, it's some benevolent thing that they do.
Okay.
Now, I think I know why you might say that, because I think when he goes to look at the first person in the beginning, I think he sees maybe they play what the guy is in there for on the screen.
That might be why I thought that. Yeah,
but hopefully that's not what although fuck it, if you're a murderer, I guess you've got to deal with it. But we get through all this. We know about John Anderton a couple things. Number one, he had a son who right at the beginning of this before pre-crime thing was kidnapped. Disappeared at the very least, possibly murdered, and this has affected him. And it's affected him to the
quickly
point,
too.
Oh yeah. He's holding his breath, and the kid's gone. Unfortunately, that's probably what happens in real life a lot of times. Is that you take your eye off for a second, and it's very possible. Number two, we also know that he is for a cop. He is the most carefree drug addict in the world because he leaves. So I hadn't seen this in a movie in a while, and I knew it was going to happen, but. He's they call it narrowin. It's heroin with an N, and essentially you put a Viewmaster in your mouth, and then you suck on it, and it makes you high. And there's a scene where he goes back and to his house, to his apartment, and he has these little asthma devices all over the place. And he finds one, and he gets high, and he's watching home movies of his wife and his kid. This life he doesn't have anymore, but he leaves it all over the place. And I'm like, that's carefree.
Yeah,
and
Colin Farrell walks in later, and there's 4 on his kitchen table.
It's like Colin Farrell doesn't have to do any detective work to determine that Tom Cruise's character is a fucking drug addict, because he walks in and he's like, well, it'd be like if you walked in and on your kitchen table, there was a fucking centerpiece just made of cocaine, like a big pile of fucking cocaine. Oh, bingo. So we know that about him. Max von Sydow's character, Lamar, started this with the Dr. Rose Heineman, I think her name was.
Yeah.
And John Anderton is kind of the guy in charge of the whole thing. He's the cop in charge. And they have a very good relationship, apparently. But all of a sudden, the precogs have a vision, and the bingo balls come up, and oh boy, we get 2 names. We get Leo Crow as the victim, and Stu, the ball that pops out, what does it say?
It says John Anderton. It says
John
B12.
B12, John Anderton. Bingo. And as you guys joked around, he sees that it's him, and like immediately, like, you know, it's kind of a cool moment in the fact that like it's like somebody with all their beliefs suddenly going, oh fuck, this is against me.
You know what the funny thing is? I just thought of this. You mentioned the reason it's a bingo ball system is so that he could grab the ball and hide the information. But that works for like 3 seconds because there are witnesses on the computer screen who are just like, hey, is that you? And he just like turns it off and runs away. So like, you still didn't need the bingo ball system.
It doesn't track very well.
Yeah.
I have to admit.
So he realizes that he is now on the run, and he takes off from the police precinct, and we get this really great kind of, I thought it was good, outdoor kind of Tom Cruise running, jumping across cars, all that stuff.
Yeah, on the vertical road.
On the vertical road, he ends up in an apartment building with Steven Spielberg hired 12 of the most flexible contortionists in the world.
So weird
to play
that's
those.
Right.
Yeah, he ends up in a room with a bunch of women doing like contortion yoga, and Steven Spielberg went way above and beyond to make sure that people went, that looked good. Her head really was between her knees.
Yeah, absolutely. And he lands that way too, right? He lands upside down.
He lands all curled up, but not the exact same.
Yeah. So Stu, I'm going to go to you on this one bit here. The action portion of this film. As dumb as you might think this movie is, do you think it gets the action stuff right?
No. Do you mean do you mean the like 5-minute sequence of the most useless jetpack technology in movie history? If this future had these jetpacks, they wouldn't use them because they're less efficient than anything else going on. They're so stupid. No one's using these jetpacks, especially not in pursuit of somebody. They're clumsy, and the guy just grabs them and manipulates you into flying through walls. It's so stupid. This is the one scene with these jetpacks, and I have it watching right now. I have it airing, and it's what's on as we're talking about this. I couldn't stop laughing the first time I watched this movie on this scene because it looks terrible. It looks terrible. Like, nothing about this movie. You have all this technology, and you have these bingo balls and this Iron Man technology with flinging screens away. And you're telling me anybody is using these jetpacks that are completely ineffectual? No, thank you, Steven Spielberg. I do not believe it.
Manster, what did you think of the cool shotguns that shoot out like laser beams and then you spin them around to cock them?
They're a little reminiscent of T2, but
T2, yeah,
not nearly as cool.
I felt it was a T2 thing. Now, Manster, were you disappointed by the action aspects of this film?
I mean,
I like the jetpack scene.
There's a lot of chase. I mean, if by action you mean chase, yeah, I think so. Yeah, the chase stuff was pretty good.
Anderton, I will say in regards to the action sequence, I want to throw in how this scene basically ends. Like, they have jetpacks, then they're in cars, and then they're running, and then they're fist fighting. I like that it ends with Tom Cruise being built into a car.
Yeah.
Which he immediately then drives away. And it's just
it drives away, yeah.
Yeah, that car just came fully powered, I guess.
That scene is dumb, I will admit. Like the overall scene I like.
It's really neat when it's happening. Like when he's there and the thing builds the car around him, it's rad as hell. And then he drives off and I was like,
it's rad for 2 reasons. First of all, so after this jetpack scene, Tom Cruise and all of the cops that are his comrades who are now after him, they end up in this Lexus factory because Lexus was supporting this film greatly. And he ends up in a car that's being built by robots. He's in it while the thing's getting built, and eventually you see that they're putting the seats in, and it looks, and Colin Farrell and the rest of the cops are in like a gangway watching this, and it looks like essentially Tom Cruise, Anderton gets built in, and you figure he's stuck under the seats or he's been killed or crushed. The 2 things I love about this are, as he's going by, he sits up and looks at Colin Farrell, but then Colin Farrell does the Robin. He goes like this, like you can't see me. This is an audio podcast, but Robin is known for the fist into the open hand. Colin Farrell does that in this scene. I've never seen anybody do that in real world. I've only seen fucking Burt Ward do that on the 60s. Like literally the only other thing he could have done more was say "drats." So Anderton gets away and he goes to see the doctor, Dr. Iris. You said, Lloyd?
Yeah, I know her last name was Henneman or something.
Henneman.
He goes to find out, like, are there any? How is this happening? I know I'm not going to murder this guy. It's not preconceived. So how's it going to happen? And she essentially tells him about the Minority Report. Lloyd, do you want to explain?
I'm going to stop you right here. Because
No. Well, we're going to get to what you're going to talk about because I know what you're going to talk about.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Minority Report. Then we can talk about the fucking plants for a few minutes.
Oh, God. So the Minority Report is every once in a while, there is, what do they have? They have a couple of different words, like echo is one. So every once in a while, one of the precogs, namely Agatha, sees something a bit differently from the others. And then they do this kind of vetting system where they take the Minority Report and they eliminate it. But the Minority Report is still obviously within the precog's own mind.
Right. So he realizes that the key to maybe clearing his name might be in Agatha.
Right.
So he has two next roles of business. Number one, in this world, your eyeballs are everything. You're identified by your eyeballs. We talked about it with like the advertisements. He can't go anywhere near the police precinct with his eyeballs. We'll get to that in a minute. So he has to get to there and then kidnap Agatha. But Stu, please go ahead. Talk about the plant that almost kills him. And
so this lady has mutant sentient plants. Why? Yeah. They serve no purpose to this movie. But when Tom Cruise breaks into her compound, he gets attacked by plants, like plants that sense his presence and specifically attack him. And
have you never seen Little Shop of Horrors?
Well, the plants were the plot of that movie.
Right. But Stu, let me ask you a serious question, because this is how I look at it.
This would be like if just in the background of a scene, if like the scene where he went to the Gap, you just had like a dog walking around on two legs wearing clothes and didn't explain it. And the movie was just like, fuck it. There's a dog wearing clothes, just walking around. But that's how I feel about the plants.
But this is also a movie that takes place in 2054 where we have these incredible strides in technology. Can you not just accept that as being like a part of the world?
I can't accept sentient attack plants. No, I do not.
So as far as accepting things, let me go there now. I think that came from
the same futurist that told them to do the Radio Shack reference. I think that guy was way off base.
Yeah. So as far as accepting things, and this is like the biggest thing of the whole movie for me, because you know me, I get stuck on things that
no shit, Sherlock,
that don't fucking make sense. I'm like, that sucked. So the whole idea of precogs fucking knowing every murder that's going to happen that hasn't actually happened yet, it's just so stupid. It's just so fucking stupid that's the technology that you have people floating in this little
in a nutrient bath,
and they're seeing things. And not only that, but the things they're seeing are projected and they're saved, and then they're on a computer. It's just so asinine and dumb. I wish they could have come up with another way to determine these things. That ruins your enjoyment of the movie if you let something like that stick in your craw.
I'm okay with the idea of the precogs. The precogs are the thing that's weird about them is that they make it out to be like these are meth babies that somehow got superpowers.
Yeah.
Now, I'm actually
but it's not a superpower movie. It's a technology movie. So it's not technology. Movie.
My bigger problem with the precogs is if this whole movie just took place in DC and they had the three of them and they made it very clear that as long as these three are alive or two or one, we could do this. But the idea behind this movie and the whole, I guess, drive of the Burgess character is he wants to make this a nationwide thing. Right. How do you do that? Like, do you have
that's I'm willing to roll with what this movie's saying. Like, there are precogs, like that's the point of the movie. The mutant plants aren't the point. If the mutant plants were the point, I'd roll with them. But what the movie's telling me, precogs, pre-crime, whatever, I can roll with that. But yeah, like you get to the point where it's like you got three people And really, you've essentially got one because she's the only one that matters. And like, once she dies, she's not immortal. Then your entire system falls apart.
Right. Yeah. They never.
Well, she's got this fucking creepy pedophile caretaker. So
yeah. When he put his like nose on her head, I was no. Oh no.
So yeah, no, to Stu's point, I rolled with it, even though it bothered me, I rolled with it, and
all right,
got to go with that.
So as long as we're talking about stuff that bothers people, I know this bothers Stu because this was the thing I think he brought up like when we talked about this, like probably in March.
Yeah, the thing that stuck with me the most was these goddamn mutant plants.
Well, no, what I'm going to say next, I think is
okay.
I think is your biggest, at least what I remember in our conversation, is the eyeballs.
This makes no sense either.
So the doctor tells him, look, if you're going to do what you got to do, and they kind of alluded to it earlier that you can get black marker eyeballs. There was some line of dialogue that the only way to trick these machines is to get black. So it's a thing in this world.
What was that comment that dude made? The Neuroin in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Yeah, this movie has a surplus of lines about vision. I wrote a bunch of them down. This movie is so obsessed with eyes. There is, it's all about
she grabs him first and says, "Can you see?" Then there's in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. They're talking about the eyes of the nation are on this. They talk about see the light, risk the dark. I mean, like, there are a ton of one-liners in this movie about vision, about eyes, and I think it gets overplayed at some point, but at least, like, hey, man, this movie had a theme and was like, we're going with it. We're going to have so many lines of dialogue about eyes.
If you ever saw the Netflix show Black Mirror, pretty much all the technology in that show is about eyes as well.
So he goes to Peter Stormare's character, and he wants to have his eyes transplanted out, and Stormare is going to do it. He has this very weird, like, filthy operating area, a weird nurse. And after he puts Anderton under sedation, he starts to explain to him that, like, you arrested me once, you threw me in jail. I used to set my victims on fire. I was like a doctor who was, what is that, Florence Nightingale syndrome, like burning them, then saving them. It doesn't go anywhere because he does just do the surgery on him. Now, I know this is where Stu has a problem. And so he transplants the eyes. And Manster, what does he tell him number one rule is? What's the number one rule after the eye transplant?
Don't scratch it.
No.
No, what's the big rule? The big one.
Oh, don't take the bandage off for 12 hours?
12 hours.
24 hours.
12
hours.
It's 12.
He tells 24.
No, it's 12 because he stays there overnight. He sleeps. And when he does take one of them off, it's 6 hours left.
Yeah, right.
And then you don't know, but you're assuming maybe he stays there for a while longer. So I remember this, Stu, being like a big hang-up point for you. Now, I will say this. So he stays at the place for a while, and then the cops find out where he is or have an idea where he is. They send in these little robot spider drones. He knows they're coming. He's blinded essentially with the blindfold on. He gets into a bath full of ice water, and the robots just will not give up. It's actually kind of funny. They give up, and then a bubble pops at the top.
Tiny little air bubble.
Tiny air bubble. And they all come back in very aggressively, and he can't hold his breath any longer, even though he's Tom Cruise, and he can hold his breath for like 9 minutes in real life. He gets up, and they won't give up. So I don't know if he lifts it or if they lift it. They lift up one of the bandages, and they scan his eye. Now, I'm only saying this as partially devil's advocate, but also saying that this is poor writing if it's true. I got kind of obsessed with the factoid about this because I thought about it. When Stu is right. It's not been 12 hours, at least on that one eye. So I started going on like Reddit and stuff and typing in Anderton, blindness. There are people out there that are saying there are things in the movie pointing to the fact that he is blind in the one eye. When he gets to the police station and he goes to take the eyeballs out of the bag, he misses and drops them, like his depth perception is off.
Oh, right.
There is a scene later in the movie, and as I was watching it, when they show one of his eyes, it's all black. Like, it's like a close-up, and his eye looks like it's all black. And people on Reddit were saying that he was blind in one eye. It also lends credence to the line of in the land of the, the blind man is in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is the king. Now that's very interesting, and I actually think it's kind of cool. Problem is they could have just used one line of dialogue to let you know that to where he finally takes it off and he's like pushing on his eye and he's like, fuck, I can't see out of it. Or he tells his wife, I lost vision in that eye. So I got where Stu was coming from.
Yeah.
And then when I read all these people, I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. If it seems like you could see damage, and they said like when he gets the eyeballs out of the bag, it's like he doesn't see correctly. But it would have been nice if they had thrown that line in there.
Yeah, you're right.
It also would make that line make more sense. Like in the blind, the one-eyed man's the king. So he gets in and he eventually kidnaps Agatha, and he takes her.
I want to say like, I'm the last person in the world who's going to get upset over fan theory. So if you want to tell me that's a fan theory that he's actually blind in that eye, I'm all for it, because as we all know, there are multiple Jasons. So I am okay with Tom Cruise being blind in that eye if there is enough evidence that you could kind of work it in, and it's not relevant whether he is or not. So that's fine. The other thing that bothered me though is just, and you said it and just kind of dropped it real fast, like Peter Stormare gives him all this backstory about why he should hate Tom Cruise. Like he got raped in prison because of Tom Cruise. And then he just does the surgery.
Well, because of what he did, and Tom Cruise just sent him to jail. And he does say in his dialogue something about my time there showed me who I really am.
Right.
But again, a line of dialogue where he says, thank you, like you straightened me out, would have been great, because you're right. They go to this whole like dark place where you're like, oh shit, he's going to finger fuck him while he's asleep. Like it's going to be bad. And the worst he does is he doesn't clean out the shitty sandwiches from his fridge, and he drinks the shitty sandwich, sandwich and rotten milk.
That's so gross.
He goes and gets Agatha. He breaks in. He another weird line that I thought was odd, that was throwaway and then didn't pay off, was he gives Tom Cruise this vial and says, inject it into your face and it'll make you look unrecognizable. But he also says it's gonna be the worst pain you've ever felt.
The worst pain ever.
He just injects it and never pays off. He just literally just walks in. Like he looks different, but he's not like
Yeah.
He gets Agatha, and now they're on the run together.
No, you're the things you're just electing to skip over in this.
Well,
how do he and Agatha escape?
Oh, they get flushed down the toilet.
They get flushed down a giant drain. Why? Why is there a giant drain that sized people can fit through?
Why not? Why wouldn't there be?
That could
you gotta have a drain.
Poorly.
Nah.
So here's the thing.
I like it.
I almost don't have a problem with the drain. But you know what I have a problem with? The drain says to me, like, okay, if they have to, in an emergency, drop them into like a holding tank or something. Yeah. Yep. My problem is it's not even Whitwer, I think, who wouldn't know. But I think it's Neil McDonough's character who's been working there for a long time. He says, where does this drain go? And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't you know where that drain goes if it's so important to these?
Well, they're not allowed in the temple, so...
Right, well, yeah, but you would still think maybe someone would tell them in an emergency if they're ever flushed down the giant toilet. they go into the little area downtown there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they don't tell that. So you're right. I'm not electing to jump over that, Stu. You know the show. You can always jump in and throw anything in there you want. So now they're on the run. They go to the
I
Gap.
just feel like you're being too kind to this movie, and you're like, let's talk about the part where they flush the psychics down a drain.
I'm going to give this movie a good grade. I'm not going to lie. I enjoy this movie, but yeah, I really don't mind the drain thing. It's goofy and weird, but yeah, I kind of think it's cool too. Like, wow, you just get flushed down the fucking drain. So kind of the rest of the movie is a couple different things. Anderton and her on the run. We get Danny Whitwer, who's still looking to try to figure all this out. And in our heads, because he's like the government guy, we think, he's kind of a shitbag. Yeah. And Burgess, is just kind of like, John did this. And we end up at the scene where Whitwer goes to Burgess and he realizes Whitwer's put it together because he's a smart guy. There's a murder of a woman named Anne Lively that this is all kind of tied around. Okay. And
where are they when they do this scene?
They're at
Aren't they at John's house?
They might be at John's house. Yeah,
I think that's where
they
were
were.
at John's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird, I think, but
it is weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's where all the drugs are. So
yeah, right.
You know, so they're at John's house, and the murder of Anne Lively is kind of like the central thing that's putting this movie together. It's a mystery. There's two mysteries: the Anne Lively murder, and why is John going to kill Crow, Leo Crow? Danny Whitwer goes to him, and he essentially says, "I figured this out. Like the visions that we're seeing here don't line up." Through some nature characteristics, some ripples in a pond, I can tell that one of these things happened and one of them was a recreation in the actual murder.
Yeah, or they happened at 2 different times, I think he said.
2 different times,
yeah,
but he knows they're not, it's not the same. It looks like the same thing, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
And essentially, he doesn't figure it out until it's too late, but Burgess shoots him in the stomach or in the heart and kills him. Reason being is that Burgess killed off this Anne Lively woman. He hired a vagabond. It's a whole thing. The reason he kills
it's the whole thing.
The reason he kills Anne Lively is, as we said before, the precogs are meth head babies. Anne Lively was a meth head, and she was the mother of Agatha. And after a few years, she went to rehab. She started lifting weights, drinking protein shakes. She felt good about herself. She goes to Burgess and says, "I want my kid back." And Burgess realizes, hey, look, I got fucking Charles Xavier on my squad. I ain't giving this kid back. So he murders Anne Lively. Yep. So now we know that Burgess is the real bad guy of the film because he's willing to do this horrible thing to kind of keep this. So essentially in his head, it's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, although it's really shitty. And then the other half of it is eventually Agatha helps to lead John to Leo Crow. Who does Leo Crow appear to be, Lloyd? Who does he present himself to be?
So Leo Crow appears to be, so when they finally pinpoint it and they get into this guy's room, there is which is very peculiar and it gets explained later. There are pictures of children all over this bed. And John finds a picture of his own son there. And Leo, obviously this is a scene of some guy jerking off to all the children that he's killed over the years.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they come in there and Leo Crow appears, he comes out of a room or something and there he is. John's like, you killed Sean. And basically he appears to be that, but turns out, no, not so much. He was hired to be that guy. He's like, you're supposed to kill me so that my family can, get some sum of money and, do better than with him.
So we find out that Burgess hired this guy.
Yeah, Burgess hired him.
Stu, what is the reason that Burgess wants Anderton to be a murderer? Is it to prove that the pre-crime works like in the red ball system, or?
I think what I picked up on was earlier in the movie, Agatha grabs John Anderton and says, "Can you see?" and shows him the first vision he gets of the Anne Lively murder. So that kind of sets him on a track where he's now starting to investigate this Anne Lively thing. So I assumed that Burgess killed him just because John was potentially getting close to figuring out the Anne Lively thing. Like, I don't think that was part of his plan. I think that was just like, oh shit, I need to get him out of my way.
You're right. I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, he actually brings up the Anne Lively thing early on. And that's where this all gets
because he goes together to Burgess and he's like, "Do you know Anne Lively?"
Yeah, tries to kill Leo Crow, but then he does the right thing and he's like, "I'm going to arrest you." Right. And Leo Crow's like, "What the fuck? You're going to arrest me? Like, you're supposed to kill me.
You're supposed to kill me.
I'm not going to get any. My family's not going to get any money unless you kill me." And Anderton's like, "I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to bring you in. And you're going to fucking do the time for what you did here." As he's about to put the gun away, Leo Crow grabs him and pulls the trigger. Suicide by cop. But meanwhile, he still fucking goes shooting out the window. It's very dramatic. And the cops get there this time, and there's no fighting him off. And they get John Anderton, and they halo him. When they halo you, that's when they bring you to the
bank teller.
The bank teller. Yeah. So Anderton has been proven that he is apparently in their minds the murderer that they thought he was.
Burgess. So did the precog So what happens is the precog doesn't see enough of the details, right? Because the situation did go down, but
No, I
Tom
think-
Cruise did not pull the trigger.
No, he proved what we were saying earlier, like free will is a thing, and that's why this whole thing doesn't matter. Like
Right.
they saw what was going to happen, just Tom Cruise knew it was going to
But it
happen
just
and
didn't
decided
happen.
not to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
But everything else lined up for it to get to that exact point,
yeah.
and then he changed his own
And
future.
he changed it.
Yeah.
Right, which they were saying, it doesn't matter, and that's the whole problem with this whole thing is free will, and Tom Cruise, Anderton enacts that, he is going to kill Crow, but then he has that moment of clarity and is like, no, I'm going to read you your rights instead. And as soon as he does that, the vision's fucking bullshit,
Right.
which is the problem with all this. Everything's bullshit.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you guys a question about something a character does, which I thought was really fucking stupid. John's gone away, and Burgess is going to have this big fucking party. Pre-crime is going to be a thing. It's been voted in, and he's the man of the year. And John's wife, strange wife, Laura, shows up, and she knows stuff. She knows because she talked to John. There's a whole scene we didn't mention where they're at the lake house with Agatha, and they talk for a little bit. And she sits down, and she's like talking to Lamar, and it's all very much like, like they're not really saying what they want to say to each other. And he's like, can you help me tie my tie? And she asks him directly about Anne Lively.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know anything about Anne Lively. And he goes, well, John told me this story. Could you look into it? And he says,
he says something real stupid.
What does he say to her, Lloyd?
He says, well, I'll look into if Anne Lively was ever drowned.
Right. So, Stu, let me ask you a question, because I know you're going to jump on this, and I wanted to bring this up. If you were in the room now with this character that you're 95% sure was involved in this woman's murder because he knew a detail no one else knew, would you say to him, I never said it was a drowning? Keep your mouth shut.
Bogus. Yeah, keep your mouth shut at that point. But it's another thing where, like, how much of a trope is that? Like, how many mystery novels or mystery movies come down to the character where it's like, I never said X.
And we all, as the audience, I
apologize.
That
my cat will not stop climbing all over me, trying to knock my headphones out of my ears.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, go ahead.
But we knew she didn't say that. So it's like they're trying to tell us as an audience, they're trying to tell us, hey, guess what? She didn't say this, so he's lying. But we, as an audience, I mean, unless you're falling asleep, you know that she didn't say anything about her drowning.
Well, no, it was a slip up on Burgess's part. But
I know, but we didn't. What I'm saying
is
they didn't need to do that in the movie.
I don't even mind they did that. What she should have done is kept her mouth shut to keep herself out of danger, or at least until she could maybe go to somebody and say, hey, look, I understand this future seems like it might not be all on the up and up, but at the very least, maybe get an investigation going. And now instead, like at the end of their conversation, he's like, I'm going to visit you tomorrow.
Yeah. It was a pretty menacing, he's like 6'5".
Oh yeah.
And she's like, maybe 5'1". Look, so it was a pretty menacing sort of scene where he stood over her.
You might watch this movie from 2002 and go, that's old Max von Sydow. Max von Sydow was in The Force Awakens in 2015. So like that the guy he only got older. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like this was the oldest version. He is
right.
He's
that
menacing.
Was like 60-year-old already.
Exactly. That's like 65-year-old Max von Sydow. He's still very capable. So as we mentioned, Laura uses the eyeball that should be discontinued from use and goes to the jail and says, I need my husband. And then during the big banquet for Burgess, as he's up there and accepting his award of a Civil War fucking pistol, which is very convenient. He's gonna need a gun in a few minutes. He starts to get messages from John Anderton, like on their little comm links, telling him.
I want to ask a question real fast because I couldn't. We already know the psychics are back in action at this point because the precogs will eventually momentarily see that Burgess is going to kill Tom Cruise.
Right.
The thing that bothered me is whenever Tom Cruise's wife goes down to the bank teller guy and is holding him with the gun to be like, let me talk to my husband.
Yeah.
Why isn't he like, well, they're not coming to get you, so you're not going to kill me.
Yeah, they just overlooked that.
Yeah, like he's in the system. He's not like some layperson. He knows exactly what the system is. He should be like, no one's coming to arrest you, so you're not going to shoot me.
Not only that, Stu, but if you're just a layperson and you have a gun and you want something from somebody and they say no, are you really going to shoot them? Especially if they're the only one who can help you?
Well, let's not get too far into the real world, because unfortunately, in the real world, people shoot people over the dumbest shit all the time.
Yeah.
You know, rob a 7-Eleven, get their $200, and on your way out the door, kill someone.
But those are fucking idiots. Those aren't, this lady, Laura, she's not going to kill
It's not Laura Anderton, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it's not Laura Anderton.
Does it create like kind of a loop, though, where he's like, the people aren't coming, so I know you're not going to shoot me. But because I know you're not going to shoot me, now you are actually going to shoot me. So that would mean the people should be coming, but then they wouldn't be coming because you wouldn't. It just creates like this infinite wrapping loop where like either the cops are coming or not coming, depending on.
Well, also, so it's like you're standing in a mirror and you're looking like down a hallway of mirrors.
Also, maybe he's been involved in like working in this jail long enough where he thinks about this all day long, and maybe he's already come to the conclusion of like, a serious conclusion of like, people can change their minds. Like maybe he knows that. Like maybe he's like, this system is fucked. I'm getting like 300,000 space dollars a year, and that's wonderful. Right. That's a good
credits.
That's space credits. I'm getting that a year. Like I can get a nice apartment in like.
I gotta go to the Gap. You know, I can get a good pair of trousers.
I could buy the entire line of fall fucking tank tops. Right. If that's even a thing. It doesn't sound like it makes sense. Fall tank tops. Well, they're tank tops that are
maybe somewhere.
They're knit. So they're warm.
Oh, they're knit fall
tank tops.
Yeah,
I think you just invented something, John.
Very scratchy, super uncomfortable, and they all come up to just above your belly button. It's a weird fucking look. So Anderton shows up,
and they're all orange.
And essentially, we get this kind of final talk between these two guys. And at the very last minute, Burgess kills himself. Burgess, forgive me, John, and shoots himself. Because in the long run, even though he's a bad dude, he was doing what he thought was right. And as the movie kind of comes to its ending and its eventual conclusion, we see that Anderton is out. He's back with Laura, and they have a baby on the way. Hopefully, he doesn't lose this one. and I
have the most insensitive note in the world there. My note is, wife is pregnant because children are replaceable.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I actually kind of thought of the.
I'm gonna hang up now.
I actually thought of like kind of the real world ramifications of that, of like losing a kid and then having another one. How like in the parents' eyes and that kid's eyes, there's got to be a lot of therapy time, no matter what. Even if you're loved, there's got to be a lot of therapy time, because it's almost like, would I have been here? Would I have been the second kid, or am I just here because you know what I mean? Like.
I have a cousin that had that exact situation. They lost a baby, but then had another child.
See, don't bring us into the real world, Lloyd.
It's rough.
No, don't bring us into don't pull the rug out from the podcast, fucking our feet. Great. Now we have to talk to your cousin and find out how they feel about things.
How do you cope?
How do you cope
with that?
And pre-crime has been wiped out because it's been proven to be wrong. And the useless twins and Agatha, all with hair now, live in a cabin and read all day.
Yeah.
All right. The end.
Why would they all want to be with each other?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe well, they just spent fucking years together in a tub.
Yeah. You know, fuck away from me. I'm sick of you.
Flushable tub. What were you saying, Stu?
I said, and everybody that the pre-crime division is free.
Yeah,
everybody they arrested is done. They're out.
Right. They're under observation, but they're free.
Yeah, they're going to be watched just in case they might possibly kill someone. And someone will. One of them, two of them, 10 of them will kill somebody eventually. But you know what?
Yeah.
That's the world we live in now. So, all right, Manster, let's talk about the box office.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
So this thing had a budget of $102 million, but remember that Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise did not pull a salary off of this.
I think this thing looks pretty fucking good for $102 million.
For $102 million, pretty damn good.
2002. I also think Spielberg's regular cinematographer Janusz Kaminski, who did Private Ryan and Schindler's List and a bunch of things with him. He did this, and he did like something called like a bleach over effect.
Yeah, I got some.
This movie is very bright.
It's very bright and
very cool. So it's like he wanted to film noir.
Yeah.
So, which is like black and white contrast, stuff like that. So they filmed it and then they did that bleach over, which just kind of washes out like 40% of the color.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks, it's very unique looking, and I actually like it for that. It's almost like you're seeing it reflected like in like say chrome or something like that.
I actually like it quite a bit. The look of
it is very unique. Even that scene where he's running and he goes to the Neurowind dealer, it's even washed out there, but you've got the blue background. And it's very cool. I love the contrast in this movie.
A lot of blues, a lot of like really, contrasty, just washed out look, like you said. Yeah, very washed out look. Yeah.
And it worked. It works for the movie for sure.
Yep.
So a budget of $100 million. Opening weekend was $35.6 million. Domestic, it took in $132 million, and worldwide $358 million.
Big bucks.
So almost twice as much, or basically $100 million more international, 226. So for that June 21st weekend, I'll give you the top 5. Sum of All Fears came in at number 5. The Bourne Identity at 4. Scooby-Doo at number 3. Lilo and Stitch at number 2, which was also in its first week. And Minority Report, number 1 that weekend, 35.6. And for the whole year of 2002, it came in number 10. Not too bad.
Not too bad at all.
Yeah. So number 9, My Big Fat Fucking Greek Wedding. Number 8, Ice Age. Number 7, Signs. Do you guys like Signs?
I did back then. I haven't seen it in years. I did back then. Yeah.
It's
I rewatched Signs this year. It's incredible.
Yeah, I watched it
aged very well.
Yeah. Number 7, 7 Signs. Number 6, Die Another Day. 5, Men in Black 2.
That was terrible.
Yeah, not a huge fan. Number
It's
4.
so weird. Like some of these movies, I love whenever you guys are listing these movies, and it's just like, those came out in the same year.
Yeah.
It feels like these movies you're listing, like The Bourne Identity and Men in Black 2, feel like they're like 10 years apart in my head.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I get that.
All right, number 4. In my opinion, one of the worst Star Wars movie, but Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
It's bad. It certainly is bad.
Number 3, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire.
Ooh, Stu hates that movie.
Yeah. Number 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Oh, the second one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I haven't done this in a while, John, but can you name the number 1 movie? 2002.
2002. Oh boy. All right.
And that's the clue it itself. 2002.
Oh, so it's a second. Boy. You said Harry Potter. You said Star Wars. What was bigger than Star Wars in 2002? Fuck. I give up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Oh yeah.
Number 1 that year. 936.
Those movies, man, were so fucking big.
Yeah.
That's
international.
Yeah.
Worldwide, I mean.
Those movies played everywhere, everywhere. All right. So that is the box office for Minority Report. Before we rate these, a couple of things that I thought were pretty cool I didn't mention earlier. On the train, when he is escaping from the police station, a man is reading a USA Today and is staring at him. That's Cameron Crowe, who directed him in Vanilla Sky right before this movie, who also directed Singles and Almost Famous. And you could clearly see him. You see his whole face. Sitting behind Cameron Crowe, there's a blonde woman who's wearing like what looks like Google Glass, and she's like talking to somebody, but you only see the top half of her face. It is Cameron Diaz. So Cameron Crowe and Cameron Diaz, and who were both. Cameron Diaz was also in Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky is a movie that I want to put on the list for us to talk about because that is a weird fucking movie.
I think I saw it once, and I don't remember a thing about it.
It's a weird movie. It's certainly a weird movie. All right,
I never saw it.
This is the part I want to hear.
I think a lot of people like that movie.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. It's certainly an odd movie, and I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know if 29-year-old John would agree with current, John, who's not 29, and I won't say how old I am. All right, let's rate this thing.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
All right, here on Pint of Comics, if you haven't heard us before, and you don't know the 0 to 5 scale, 0 being the worst. Oh, what's up?
You just said Pint of Comics. Do it over.
All right. Thank you. All right. If you haven't heard us before here on the Pint, formerly known as Pint of Comics, we rate everything on a 0 to 5 scale. 0 being the absolute worst, 5 being the absolute best, quarter and half scale optional. I'm going to start with the Manster. Manster, 2002's Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise, who made 15% off the back end of $358 million, I guess.
15%, yeah, that's pretty good.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'd love to make 15% of 358. Holy shit.
What did you think, Manster?
Yeah, that's pretty good. By the way, we didn't mention it, but it did receive an Academy Award. Not nomination. I think it won the award for Best Sound Editing.
Oh, okay.
And it won Saturn Awards for Science Fiction Film, Best Direction, Best Writing, and Best Supporting Actress. I was a little bit torn. Like when I first watched it again, I was like, yeah, I remember liking this movie more. Maybe it was because back in the day, you know, the cool stuff and the technology and things like that. But the more I thought about it, you know, Tom Cruise does a pretty good job. I mean, everyone does a good job. I like the washed out sort of look to it, that weird, whatever they call it, bleaching, you know, bleaching the asshole kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Was pretty cool. And I like that. So the movie has a lot of themes, right? There's a lot of themes going on in here, especially to do with freedom and technology and, you know, losing your civil rights. But it's not like preachy. It's not didactic. It's just entertainment. You know, I don't think he's trying to like nowadays a lot of you feel like you're being woke when you watch a movie and they keep drilling something into your head.
Right.
This isn't doing that, but it's definitely showing you that, you know, you're going to give up your civil liberties for this kind of really cool technology. In this day and age, I think that's pretty resonant because, man, oh man, you know, I know that my fucking phone listens to me. When I go into Costco and I say, oh, look at that, you know, patio set. And then an hour later, I got patio sets coming up. I mean, that's fucking scary.
Yeah, this movie certainly could have been made this year.
Fucking shit to light, and yeah, it's real. And I have an Alexa, and now I'm kind of scared of her. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is it's entertaining and it's cool. And I'm going to score it a little higher than I thought I would. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
We're going to Stu last. I'll go next. I think what you said, Manster, is pretty on the nose. This is a action movie that also kind of gives you a little bit of something to think about. But that's not the point of everything. This movie could have been made in 2022. This movie doesn't feel dated to me at all. It feels very much like it could have been in the last 5 years or, you know, or very recent. The fact that it was 20 years ago and the fact that they got so many technologies, you know, very close to right. You know, no, we don't have USA Today's that like update themselves, but we do, you know, on actual paper, but we do have, you know, like tablets and we do have stuff like that. And like I said before, the gesture-based control and the idea behind it all is, would you be willing to give up the idea of total personal freedom, maybe for the idea of safety, right? So like you said, there's a scene where all the spiders just like, they had that really good scene that Spielberg shot from above in the apartment building where it shows people going about their day.
Too.
One shot.
Really cool.
Yeah, people going about their day. One of my favorites is the two people that are like fighting each other, the husband and wife, and they literally just stop quick enough to get scanned, and they go right back to it. The couple that are like fucking, and you know, it's just like, this is your life, and this is what you deal with on a regular basis. Is it worth it to know that you're not going to get murdered? That's a good question. I do see a lot of the points, I guess, the overall plot elements and how they might not work, but that's also true of a lot of time travel movies. And I don't always necessarily let that take me out of a time travel movie. So this is a movie reliant on precognitive ability and this you know, section of the United States that is basing a police force around that. And yeah, I think there are going to be loopholes. I don't mind the whole plant thing, the one scene with it, because I feel like that's a future.
It's so stupid, though.
I feel like that's a part of that future that we just don't delve into. A couple weeks ago, we did an episode on the Tom Selleck movie Runaway, and Runaway takes place a couple years in the future of 1984. It's supposed to be 1991, I think.
Yeah.
And there's one scene in the movie where they send Tom Selleck's character to the police precinct psychic, but they don't mention psychics in that movie at all, except for that one scene. Now, could it be convenient plot contrivance? Absolutely. But it could also be this is just part of this world that we're not delving into. So I love, like you said, the look of it, the bleached out look and all that stuff, or as we call it here, the bleached out asshole look of it all. And I'm going with you, Manster. I hadn't seen this in a good long time, but great cast. Colin Farrell's awesome. He does the Robin thing. Tom Cruise is good in this. Obviously, Von Sydow and Neil McDonough. I just love Neil McDonough. He's got those fucking icy blue eyes.
Yeah, he does.
I'm going with a 4. It's a 4 for me.
Double 4s.
So let's go straight off a cliff and talk to Stu now. Stu, before you mention anything, give everybody out there the website, give everybody out there the show, all the good stuff.
Yeah, the show is the Stu World Order podcast, where we review random comic book movies with a guest every episode. The website is swoproductions.com, where we have new entertainment-based articles every single weekday. So there's some fiction on there, there's some reviews, some lists, anything on the website, just every weekday, Monday through Friday, new stuff on there.
All right.
And then for this movie, I definitely made a point to jump in about every stupid thing about this movie. The stuff that is bad, but in a bad way that made me laugh whenever I watch it. Like the plant makes me laugh. The flushing a psychic down the drain makes me laugh. The
psychic toilet.
The completely ineffectual jetpack technology makes me laugh. What I didn't want to jump in on is the biggest thing about this movie that actually bothers me is how it gets to a really interesting point. And I have it in my notes here. Movie gets great, ... until it doesn't. Because this movie gets to a point where he gets to that hotel room and Leo Crow is in the room, and Leo Crow is the person who killed his kid. And you get into this mind fuck of he's gonna kill this guy, but he wouldn't have if not for the system. So again, you get this infinite loop paradox. And I thought, like, okay, shit, this is actually really deep and really interesting. And the movie gets right to that point, and then it turns around and it sprints as fast as it can away from being interesting and just becomes this stupid conspiracy plot about the Burgess character that completely ruins the movie for me, because I hate that. That's my note. Leo Crow hotel scene, : movie gets great. ... until it doesn't. And then my next note is the whole last 30 minutes of this movie is ugh. Like it got me there. It got me so close. And then it just sprinted away. It was just like, nope, I don't want to be interesting. I want to be a really generic spy thriller instead.
This movie was like Stu, like it was giving Stu a hand job.
Yeah,
and just as he
so
felt
close. So like,
just as he felt that first like twinge in his balls, it just let go and went, "I got to go to the gym." And just ran away. But the kicker is his hands were tied behind his back, so now he's just
finish.
He's like, it's like a sneeze that won't come out. He's like, please, somebody grab it.
Get over here.
Somebody grab it.
So everything else I mentioned is the stuff that is like laughably bad about this movie, but I can't forgive this movie for daring to get interesting and then pussying out and not actually doing it. Because this movie could have gotten so deep into actually have Tom Cruise kill the guy, so it proves that precog is right, but he wouldn't have done it without the precog system. So what is actually the right thing to do here? But no, we get this stupid Burgess plot instead, and it deflates me so bad. It's a 2 out of 5. Like, it's well made. You're right. It looks great. The acting's good. The laughably bad stuff is so fun, but like, the last half hour of this movie is just like getting my throat stepped on. It's like, oh, you could have done something and just decided not to.
All right. So, Stu, I know after this episode, who's going to like me a little bit more than he likes you currently is our good friend Julio from the Contrarians.
Yeah.
Because Julio on Letterboxd gave this a 5.
Yeah, he loves this.
I know he's been kind of like for a while now, like, don't you talk shit about Minority Report.
Well, I don't know if I
sorry,
told you,
Julio.
I went on Julio's show and we did Romy and Michelle's high school reunion.
Yeah.
He offered me Minority Report. He's like, I think you'll have a really good time talking Minority Report. And I was like, no, John says I'm going to do Minority Report with him. So I'll do something else with you. So I could have, he knows my feelings on Minority Report, and he offered to let me come on there and be contrarian, and then in Real Talk still be contrarian. But I saved it for you, John. I saved this for you.
Thank you. All right. Before Lloyd gives out all of the information about our show, we did just mention Julio from the Contrarians, a great show. This episode is coming out week ending December 17th. And I believe, as long as he's still on plan, I did an episode with those two guys, 2 episodes, Contrarians Corner and Real Talk.
Oh, right.
A couple weeks ago about Star Trek 2009. So we did that. And that should be coming out December 11th, I believe. The first episode drops.
Ooh.
So this same week, if you're listening to this and you want to hear me on another podcast, talking with the guy and his podcasting co-host Alex, we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. So go check that out. Manster, where can everybody find not Pino Comics, but the Pint?
The Pint. You can find the Pint at all your podcatchers: Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcasts, Google, whatever. Just search for it and it'll be there. You can go to YouTube, find the YouTube channel, and Facebook, and what is it? The Pint, a pop culture podcast, Instagram and Twitter at the Pint Podcast, and Patreon. You know, you want to become a Pint Insider so you get those cool extra episodes and stickers and all that kind of stuff. At patreon.com/the Pint. Go ahead and wherever you can, give us a review. I don't know if they all do it, but Spotify does, Apple does. Just go in there, click, do a little search, hit review, give us a review. You know, get our numbers up a little bit. That'd be great.
Yeah, get some more eyes on the Pint.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, see ya.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.